It was an achievement like none other in basketball history, but one of many Wilt Chamberlain would author during his career. Still, for a long time, Wilt couldn't get up that other basketball mountain and win a championship. Over his first 7 seasons in the league, I'm proud to say the Celtics won every title.
And the Celtics, they have done it again.
I know that frustrated Wilt, but when he finally did win with the 76ers in '67, it was in typical Wilt fashion. With a team not just great, but historically great, with more wins at that time than any team in league history. And then 5 years later, his Lakers team won even more games, putting together a 33-game win streak, the longest of all time.
The Los Angeles Lakers are the greatest winning team in the history of basketball.
There's always some amazing number attached to him. You know, 100 points, 50 points a game. Now he's on a team winning 33 straight games. It's almost like you imagine him going home at night and thinking, what next? What would be a good number? And then he'd go out and do it.
He played a game against the Detroit Pistons. In the game, he blocked 26 shots.
On the 55 rebound game, how about that, against Phil Russell?
Wilt won 7 scoring titles. He won 9 shooting titles. He won 11 rebound titles. And then he led the league in assists one year.
When he was in the latter part of his career, the news media or somebody would walk up to him and say, you can't score anymore. 50, 60, then he go back to passing the ball and whatever. If you challenged him, that just took him to another level in terms of, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. It's not possible for any human being to do the kinds of things that he was able to do.
In 1973, Wilt walked away from the NBA, but his presence will continue to loom over the game.
As we sit here right now, Wilt owns over 90 records in the NBA, and he hasn't played in the NBA in the last 40 years.
He retired because he decided he didn't want to play anymore. But for 10 or 15 years after that, there would be story after story, usually around February or March, oh, Wilt's thinking of making a comeback.
He never did come back, but I would have liked to have seen it. Could he have held his own at the age of 50? Wilt was capable of just about anything, like scoring 100 points in a single game. 100 points. It's a perfect monument to the man. A number easy to remember, stunning to comprehend.
The NBA has been here since 1946. There's only been one guy in the history of the NBA score 100 points. There's only one.
Wilt's 100-point night is the statistical Everest. There's nothing in American sports that can come close.
The only sad part of telling the story 50 years later is that Wilt isn't around to talk about it with us.
I would say that other than the 100-point game, the only time that Wilt actually shocked the public was when he died. For someone who did extraordinary feats, it took the most ordinary thing ever for people to say, oh my.
We had seen him as such a strong man, such an impactful physical figure in the game. There was just nowhere in the world we would think that Wilt Chamberlain would not live to be at least 100.
We know death is inevitable for everybody, but you just think that there's some people that are too big, too strong. This can't happen to them.
He's the one who made me better. He's the one who made everyone wonder what was possible. Not just on that night of March 2nd, 1962, but every time he walked into a room. Will anyone ever score 100 points in an NBA game again? I suppose it could theoretically happen. But will there ever be another Wilt Chamberlain? Absolutely not. Part fable, all real. And a legend everyone wanted to be a part of. He's been gone now for more than a decade, and I still miss him.
I have a few big stories I tell, and they get a little bigger, like the fish stories. Well, this is the one true story that I must tell you. There was a little over 4,000 people there at the game, but I have at least 50,000 people who have told me, oh yeah, you know, I was there when you scored the 100 points. I said, oh yeah? Yeah, you know, I live in New York City, you know, so my father took me to the garden, you know, some people would say Philadelphia. No one ever says Hershey, Pennsylvania, who tells me that story. But I think is what they're saying to you is that we remember you, Wilt, and the thing we remember the most about you was that 100-point game.